Good Chodesh, everybody. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Here we go. Right. Today's shir is sponsored by our very good friend Yossi Klein from Superior Plumbing in Muncie. Familiar to the shir. He's a great friend of the shir, so Yishkoyach Yossi. Hold on a second. We have what did I do with that one? Not good. I printed out an email, and now I don't know what I did with it. So it's a good start. Hold on. You know what? We could start this over actually, but let me look it up here for a second because this was interesting to today. Let me see. Dafbrama. Here we go. You guys ready? Quick story before we get into the big siyum. So yeah, this is from, I didn't print this out, so I have to be careful here. Warren Carlos. He's a steady figure on the shir, on the Zoom. He says he has a great bris story that has to do with today, Rosh Chodesh Av. And basically, they went ahead 8 years ago and they adopted a Jewish baby boy who spent his first 2 years of his life by Goyim, who also tried to adopt him, and these Goyim refused to let them do a bris. If you touch him, we'll sue you. So in Sivan, they were advised to hold off, health issues sorted out. Bekitzer, finally, they scheduled a procedure that coincided with some ear infection the kid had, so they're going to do anesthesia anyways. And here's the amazing thing. The bris fell out on Rosh Chodesh Av. We had a minyan at the hospital, there was a Sudas bris, the rabbi had some meat and wine, and it's clear that HaKadosh Baruch Hu orchestrated the bris of this very special neshama would be on Rosh Chodesh Av because unbeknown to us, when we booked the procedure, we didn't focus on the Hebrew date but the English date, as the custom Chutz La'aretz. We were at the time. The next amazing fact is that his birthday is 23rd of Tammuz, which made the bris 8 days after his second birthday. So when he had his bris, he was 2 years old and 8 days. It could be that the reward of adopting him, bringing him to bris, and giving him proper Jewish home, that we and all who were involved were zoichet to have meat and wine on Rosh Chodesh Av. Chodesh Tov, Warren Carlos. Yishkoyach, Warren. Now, very excited to talk about the big siyum. So if you had to guess, how many locations do we have so far? Stage one. I'm going to announce stage one, the locations of stage one. Take a wild guess. Now, some of these are not 100% verified. They're debating a couple people here and there. I should say a little bit more than a couple. We have, you're not going to believe this, 65 locations in 13 states in the United States and over 15 different countries. Maybe more like 17, 18 countries. So I want to start this off. First of all, if you feel like you weren't on the list and you want to be on the list, this is just stage one. If you feel you shouldn't be on the list, we'll take you off, no problem. I got a phone call from our good friend Mendy. Hope he's not on. He'll kill me. He calls me up yesterday. He says, "Why are you telling people that the siyum is pizza? It's not pizza. We just worked a half a year on this. Are you kidding me? It should be the." I said, "That's not what I said. I said if you don't want to, you can do whatever you want. Of course, here in Bet Shemesh we're going to have a 6-course meal, and in Borough Park is going to be a 26-course meal, and official catering is official catering. If you want to give a pizza, give a pizza. We're not telling you what to do." That's what I said. Chas v'shalom to even mention the word pizza with the siyum. I hear what he's tiny. But I want to kick this off with the capital of the United States, Borough Park. Borough Park in Flatbush, because Avrami Leibovitz, he's the one that came up with this idea. So Borough Park is going to be in our good friend Shmelka Gutman's backyard in Flatbush. So Borough Park and Flatbush are getting together. By the way, these guys know what they're doing. They have a WhatsApp group going already just for the siyum. Baltimore, we have official from Official Catering. Allentown, Pennsylvania, Dr. Alan Lichthaus, Cedarhurst. We have Benjamin Schwartz, and of course Kalman, Chicago, Yosef Ben Zev, Louis Colum, Benzi Friedman, Yoel Bergman, Aryeh, all these guys. Some locations are going to have a couple minyanim together, hopefully. Some locations will be one single person, like in Stockholm, Sweden. We have Stephen Sandpearl, one guy, but that's good enough for us. Ezra Abrams, you're not off the hook. You have another buddy there. We'll talk about that in a second. Clifton Passaic, Avi Goretz. There was a bunch of guys there. We have those brothers that were just on the other day. They're there every day, actually. Lakewood, Lipa Landau. Los Angeles in the Valley, Yuda Kaplan and Harry Shalom. Muncie, Yossi Klein. The guy goes out of his way all the time for this year. New Hampshire, Seth Hellman, Crown Heights. Shloimi, yes, he'll be in Crown Heights. Shloimi Klein, together with the Yarmak. Detroit, Michigan. This one is a Suffolk, Akiva Frodensky. Mars Hill, Maine, Pinchas Yagid. Hamilton, New Jersey, Nehemiah Mesh. Seth, I already said, no? I did not say. Seth Hellman, New Hampshire. Malibu, California. Malibu. We need Malibu. David Agal is impossible to get through to. Maybe his buddies. Houston, Texas. Rabbi Lezer Kessler and Usher Lenga. Kensington. My old stomping grounds. Yossi Hirsch maybe. Lemmer, the Lemmer guy. Staten Island, David Address. Oh, David Address. And he has some buddies over there. West Orange, New Jersey. Craig. By the way, yesterday I got a song from David Address. He's putting together a video on his own. I had nothing to do with it. Zero. He came up with the lyrics. He put it in the studio. He's doing a video. The day before, I got an unbelievable video from Leon Welcher from South Africa that we're going to show. Be'ezer Hashem. People are doing amazing things. It's very heartwarming to know that behind the scenes, a lot of people are working on stuff. West Orange, New Jersey, Craig Goldman. Deal, New Jersey, Joey Levy. Englewood, New Jersey, Michael Cohen. Where is Michael Cohen? Where is he? Anybody see him? He came, visited us. He's here every day. Where is he now? South Bend, Indiana, Steven Sokolow. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Jeff Rosenberg, maybe. Maryland, Olney, Maryland, Aaron Shields. Boynton Beach, Jeff Gordon, Efsher, maybe. Buffalo, Yishai, also maybe. White Plains, New York, Keith Reich. Highland Park, Illinois, David Dimbert. Dallas, Texas, Larry Kosowski and Rabbi Epstein. We need Rabbi Isai to finalize on Cleveland. Miami, what's going on with Miami? Maybe I'll have my son do a CM there. Boca. Washington Heights, we'll have to have Yossi Kensberg and Irie Reiser, those two neighbors. Bergenfield, New Jersey, Mark Berkson. Fort Hood in Texas, the chaplain, the rabbi, Reb David Eggert. And now let's move on to the rest of the world. We have South Africa, Leon Welcher. Brazil, Chesky Rosenberg. Brazil! You got to hurry up. We're running out of time here. Manchester, the whole Chevra, the whole Chabura, Rabbi David Bernard, in Avram Schwartz's place with Gigi Mechlowitz. Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden. The only guy in Stockholm that perhaps does the daf. Stephen Sandpearl, he's on every single day. Believe it or not, his father, Michael Sandpearl, from Leeds. Australia, Melbourne, David Farkas, and Ezra Abrams. Shkoyach. Montreal. We got to work on Montreal. We have Moshe after. We need some help, maybe from Shia. Paris. George Lazary. London. A bunch of guys in London. Nobody really wanted to step forward until Lars Jacobson came along. He said, I'll do it. Italy. We're working on that by Avram. We have the Netzers. We'll figure it out. Toronto. Maybe Jay Spitzer. There's a bunch of guys in Toronto. Switzerland, we have people we got to talk to. Buenos Aires, Argentina. Mendel Mitz, he's in. Argentina. Belgium. Gershon Lear. And Mexico, Shlomo. And in Israel, we have Moreshet. Avi Mandelbaum, top of the list, always top line in Zoom. Har Nov. Mati Grunberg and Shlomo Sanders. Then we have in Rechavia, Daddy Kornbluth, of course. Yenot Shomron, Avigdor Fold, Avigdor Yishkoyach. Kochav Yaakov, Hillel Kovacs, Novtzio, Nachum Eilberg, and Tzfat, Moshe Yidel Shimon, originally from Muncie, Eli Lavi, Yerushalayim. In RBS, we have 5 locations: Yisrael Meir Simon, Shmuel Eliawat, Shmuley David, Yaakov Rosedale, and Avi Factor. And finally, Modi'in, David Lacker. This is just stage 1, Rabbi Isai. Let's try to get to 100 maybe. Who knows? We're aiming for 50. Now we're already at 65 on stage 1. Be'ezer Hashem, it's going to be something incredible. One of a kind, first time ever, where everybody's mishtatif. All these cities are going to be part of it. People are going to speak in different places for 2 minutes max, maybe 3 minutes. We'll show a video here. Somebody will speak in New York. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be one of a kind. We made from lemons. We're going to make the most amazing lemon juice ever. Says the Heilige Gemara, we have a lot to accomplish today. Today's Daf Kuf Lamed Ches. So again, if you have anything to add, you have an idea, you want to be part of this. Noam, you have something to add that I didn't say? I'm sure I missed out a bunch of stuff. Anything? You can't talk? I can't talk? You can't hear me? Oh, I said everything? I should keep on going? So say something. You can't talk? I don't know what that means. Okay, sorry. Everybody's so quiet. Oh, you're talking and I don't hear? Oh, he cannot unmute. Okay. Today's not a...
No, somebody's just mentioning now Gateshead as well.
Oh, who's in Gateshead?
Akiva Rosenbaum.
Akiva Rosenbaum from Gateshead. Okay, beautiful. 66 locations. All right, Givaldic. So we have London, Gateshead. Leeds is London? I don't know. Leeds is a little out of London. How does that work? Whatever. And in Manchester, they said they have to have a couple locations. It's not 1 block long, they said. Okay. We're holding Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin on the bottom. Remember, we were talking about putting a strainer on top of some sort of vessel, like in this picture. Chacham say it's asur on Shabbos. What if you went ahead and you put it on your vessel on Shabbos? Well, it's mamisha oil. You built something. Says the Gemara, Omer Rav Yosef Tola Chayiv Chatos Isur Doiraisa. Even though you would think that it's oil aray. Why? What's the Isur Doiraisa? Baina. You're building a roof. If you hang up your washing kli, your negelvasser cup, you know those things that we wash our hands with. You hang it up on a hook. A lot of people have a hook. What? You just created an oil. You had no intent. Taisus points out this is not even comparable. Of course, everybody holds this mutal chatchila. It's not even a suffix of a suffix. You're not trying to protect anything underneath it. You're just trying to. But his point is, how does that make sense? It's a temporary thing. Says Abaye, we're talking about Daf Kuf Lamed Ches on top. Yeah, you're right. It's only the Rabbanon, and it's called Uvdin Dechal. It looks like something that you do during the weekday. A lot of Rishonim explain this will lead to a Da'iraisa. You might come to filter through it. You might come to make a oil keva. Different things, different times. Says the Gemara. Mankid Abaye Chumer Masnisa Vatani. Abaye was malakit. He grabbed from different brises, different halachas from different. He put them all together. He made categories. These are the oils that are 100% mutter. These are the tents making roofs that are 100% asr. And there's a category in the middle that's asr midrabanan. Hagoid. So now we have a bunch of pictures. Hopefully I could pull them out quick enough. This is a goid. Goid is a portable refrigerator that you put your wine, your milk in here, and you hang it on 4 sticks at night when you rest, and the wind, the air comes underneath. I'm very proud of this. It even has green grass. It's a whole situation. The red drawstring. You see what's going on here? I mean, I stole this from the Pirush Chai, but I added my own red drawstring, so I'm very proud of it. So there's airflow on the bottom keeps this all healthy. So this is a oil aray. Vamishameres. And we're going to see soon. This is Potter al Asr. On Amad Beis, we're going to see it's 100% mutter. We have to understand the nafkemina. Mishameres is exactly what we just spoke about, that he put a filter on top, a sifter on top of some kli. Kilo. Kila, let's get a good kila here. Well, over here, Rashi says that we're talking about one of these guys, let's say, but it has a tefach on the roof. So it's a canopy with a tefach. Got to keep this over here. Vikise galim. This is a chair that it comes apart, and you travel with it and you put it together. So what's the problem with this? This is not a problem of oil. This is more of a problem of makeh b'patish. You're going to come, put things together. We might be discussing a little bit about it later. Wedging it in like a piece of Lego. Aser, makeh b'patish. Lo yaser. V'maso poter of aser. This is the category of the rabbanons. You shouldn't put a guide. You shouldn't put the portable refrigerator, the mishameres like we had now. With the rabbanon, like a bay said on top of the page, it's issa the rabbanon because it's uvdin dechol. It's oil over the chol. Fine. V'maso, sorry. Oil keva lo yasa. If you make a permanent tent, that is issa deraisa v'maso chayav chatos. So that's a category of chayav chatos. Continues Abaya. I found other stuff in Brises. I'm putting them all together here. Aval mito. What about a bed? A typical bed like we have today, standing up on the wall, and when he wants to go to sleep, he puts it down. What are those beds called? I forgot. Not a futon. You guys know what I'm talking about. Some people have it in their office. It's like hidden. It looks like a bookcase. They pull it down. Fine. So they didn't want to take up a lot of room. Their houses are only 8 feet by 8 feet. They put up their bed standing vertical. At night they put it down. Now the mattress causes oil. Not a problem. V'chise traskal. A folding chair. There's a folding chair. One of these guys. In the time of the Gemara, they also had it.
I'm saying it's a Murphy bed.
A Murphy bed. There you go. Murphy bed. Thank you. Avalmito v'kise traskal. Va'asla. In Hebrew, they have this word. An asla is a toilet. A toilet seat. Toilet. And here's the asla of those days. The blue indicates where the hole in the folding chair is. That's your toilet. I guess the word asla is like an Aramaic word, comes from the Gemara. Mutar lintoisam lechatchila. You can lechatchila put them together. It's not considered oil. All you're doing is you're opening it up. It was already made for that. That's how it is. Not an oil. Ve'ein noisnim latluya. We have here on Shabbos the issue every single day because the minyanim are outside. A lot of people bring their folding chairs. Open up a folding chair. Not a problem. Folding tail. Not a problem. Now, if you already have, going back to, if I could even find it, here we go. You have the sifter on top, and you're not allowed to pour the wine on the sifter, and all the sediment of the wine is going to remain on top. Ibailu, shimer mai. What happened if he didn't listen and he did it anyways on Shabbos? Omer avkana shimer chayiv chatos. This is issa deraisa chayiv chatos. How could that possibly be that you say it's a chatos, it's a doiraisa, mi'ike midi? This is actually going to confuse people. This question. Mi'ike midi the rabbana mechayvi chatos, v'Rebbe Lezer shori lechatchila. Where do we find the entire shas, mikotzel kotza, that one person says it's a issa doiraisa, and the other one says it's mutter lechatchila? Where do you find such a thing? You don't find such a thing, says the Gemara. In fact, the Gemara could only come up with one example. Not like that. Maskevlo Rav Yosef, Alam Eloi, Hare Irshel Zav. Going back to Daf Nun Zayin, Masechet Shabbos, if you remember, Yosef, if you want to find it, it's on Daf Nun Zayin. I didn't put it in the thing. Irshel Zav, Daf Nun Zayin. She's wearing this beautiful decorative jewelry on her head. We had a 3 machloikas. The Remeir Mechayev Chatos. Remeir says it's a deraisa, it's carrying, it's a burden. You're carrying a chunk of gold on your head. Rebbe Lezer shari lechatchila, and Rebbe Lezer is mikatzel katza over here. He says it's mamish mut lechatchila. Mahi, what's the machlok? Is this how you say tzii shibir shel zav im yatzach hayves chatos divrei meir v'chachamim lo yiteitzei. Chachamim are the middle shita. She shouldn't go out with it. V'im yatzach p'tura. But if she goes out, she's patur. Why? We're concerned that she might take it off. But it's only issa d'Rabbanan. Maybe she'll take it off to show off and show her friends. Rebbe Lezer oimer yatzii shibir shel zav lechatchila. Rebbe says, who could afford such a beautiful thing? A isha chashuva, a prominent woman, she doesn't take off jewelry to show off. Ememela lechatchila, she could wear it. So once again, we have Rebbe Lezer saying, Mutar l'chatchila, Chacham says, Issa deraisa, which one is it? Amalei Abaye Misavris Rebbe Lezer. By the way, Rabbi Isai, I forgot to mention this, but it's important. Today, we are 2,999 subscribers to YouTube. I haven't asked people, but Rabbi Isai, be that 3,000th guy, go sign up, subscribe. It's kedai because YouTube sends you notifications when the shiur starts. It'll remind you it's a good idea. Let's get to 3,000. It's a tremendous accomplishment. I remember we were running around like chickens without a head trying to get to 1,000 in order to transmit live. On YouTube, you have to have 1,000. 3,000, who would think that would be a 3,000 a year later? Beautiful stuff. Mi Savris. Rebbe Lezer ad Remeirkoi, Domechayev Eschatos. This is very hard to understand. Ad Rabbonankoi, Damri Potter Avlasser. You're telling me it's Mikotza al Kotza. Rebbe Lezer says it's 100% mutter, Chacham says it's 100% aser. Rebbe Lezer was referring to the middle shita. Compared to the middle guy, who says, the Chacham who say that it's Issa de Rabbanan and says Rebbe Lezer is 100% mutter. He wasn't talking to Rebbe Meir. He was talking to the middle. So look at Taisvis, Dibber Maskil, Mi Sabris, the Rebbe Lezer, Koyad, the Rebbe Meir. It's only 5 words, the whole Taisvis. Lo Yoda Rabbi, Mai Kamashani. I have no idea what's going on here. But at the end of the day, Rebbe Lezer is arguing with Rebbe Meir, Mikatz al Katza. You have 2 Tanaim who are saying the exact opposite. One says it's Issa Deraisa. One says there's not even a chashash. You don't have to worry about anything. Go ahead and wear it. Where do we find it? Here, we found it right here. Yeah. Great. So if a guy, you see somebody about to pour his wine onto a sifter on Shabbos to separate the sediment from the wine. In order for him to be chayiv anything, 2 witnesses have to walk over to him and says, Rabbi, you're about to be over deraisa, and if you do so, you'll be chayiv misa, and if he does b'shoigig chatos. What are you supposed to tell him? What are you over on? Baina, what is he over on? Reb Zera, Rabba Omar Mishum Boirer. This is a classic case of Boirer. He's separating the good from the bad. Reb Zera Omar Mishum Merakid. In fact, Reb Zera is more accurate. Because as we saw in the Mishnah, there's Zoira, you throw things up in the wind pushes the bad away, and the good falls down, the shaft gets pushed away, the wheat comes down. Then we have Boirer and we have Merakid. They're all 3 basically the same idea. You're separating the good from the bad, but Merakid is within a sifter. You go like this, like we do for flour to get the bugs out. That's basically what you're doing. You're putting the wine through the top and sifting in the bottom. Boirer is more with your hand. You're taking out the bad beans, you're putting them on the side. I'm right. And this is very interesting because we learned the exact opposite. So for that we have to go to Tosfos, which is a little bit of a doichak. He says, Boirer, what's the Isser Boirer when you take the food out of the good, out of the bad? We learned the opposite. You take the bad out of the good, that's always Boirer. You're taking the seeds of the watermelon out, that's Aser. Over here the Gemara says, Noitel oichel umeniach hapsoilas. So Tosfos says that we have to say that we're talking about this very little wine. And over here, the derech is to take out the minority, whatever is the miut. So I want to take the wine out of the psoilos because I have very little wine. It's much less work to get the smaller amount out of the larger amount. That's what Tosfos says. Okay. What are you talking about? I'm right. I put into a sifter and I get the stones. All the bad stuff remains in the sifter and the food. Right today, you take flour, you put it in a sifter, you go like this. What do you get on the bottom? On the bottom you get good flour. The top, all the garbage. Over here also, you're putting in the wine. You get the good wine on the bottom. The sediment stays on top. That's exactly Merakid, says Rebbe Zera. Says Rashi. Therefore, Rabbah agrees to Rebbe Zera. How could you argue on such a solid logic? That's exactly Merakid. Says Rashi, you're right. Rabbah says it's Merakid. What Rav is trying to say is also Bayr, where Reb Zer says it's only Merakid, not Bayr, comes Rav and says it's both. Tani Rami Bar Yecheskel. Talis Kfula Lo Yas. Talis Kfula is this right over here. Basically, you're making like a chuppah. And the reason why it's called Kfula, because it drapes over the sides. You're making not only a rooftop, but you're making a mechitza, making walls. That's according to Rashi. Other Rishonim learn that it's only like, there's like a beam on top and it folds over that beam. Fine. Not getting into other Rishonim. If it masa pater, talis kfula lo yasi, you shouldn't do it. If it masa pater of al-asa, it's asim d'Rabbanan. Haya karach aleha chot oy meshicha. What if you have a nice string in red, and now you could pull it shut? So basically, it's meant to open and close. In this case, you wouldn't even need a tefach of material to make. It's not like there's an oil already. Just because of the fact that I can now open and close it and it's made to do that, it's not considered that you're making an oil. You're adding to the oil, it's fine. What about the kilo? So, again, what is a kilo? If I can find it. Oh, it's here. So a kilo is built 2 sticks, 2 poles over here, 1 pole going around across, and then you drape your whatever it is on it, and you have like a triangle. Okay, that's a kilo. Kilo's chasanam at least. There's a kilo that's on 4 poles. That's different. What about a kilo? Omalei af mito asuro. So Rav Kahana asks Rav, and so Rav is basically kind of playing with him. Rav Kahana says, Rebbe, what's the halach with kilo? Now he doesn't describe what kind of kilo, doesn't describe anything. Is it 2, 4 poles, temporary, not? So he tells him, Af mita asura. You want to be vague, so I'm going to be vague with you. A bed is also asur. We said a bed is mutar l'chatchila. Take it off the Murphy bed, take it off the wall, put it on the floor. Mitamau, so he says, oh, and what about a bed? He just told him, even a bed is asur. So Rav Kahana asks him back, and what about a bed? Omalei kilo mutares. Again, you're being vague with me. What kind of bed? How? Where? There are also kilos that are mutar. Omalei, okay, now let me put you in a corner. Kilo asura, kilo umitamau. What about both of them together? How do you categorize that? Omalei, kilo asura, umita mutares. It's a riddle. V'loi kashi, says the Gemara, hodek af mita asura. This that he said that a mita is asur, not a regular bed. Kidekar money, kidekar manoi. It's a sectional type of bed that comes into pieces, like we said before, with a chair. So now it's a problem of makibeh patish. Hodek af kilo mutares, and this that he said that a kilo is mutar l'chatchila kiderame bar Yecheskel, which we had a second ago with the drawstring. This guy. So when you have a drawstring, this is how it's made. Not a problem. You could use this on Shabbos. No problem. Kila asuru mita muteres. So what kind of kila is asur? What kind of bed is mutter? Kididan. So if you have a bed up against a wall, you're allowed to pull it down. That's 100% mutter. What kind of kila is asur? When you make from scratch a kila and it has a roof of a teva. Asur. Omer Rav Yosef. Chazinulu lekila de Ravuna. Rav Yosef l'chayra is not coming to argue anybody. He's just saying, I saw by Rav Huna's house the meurto negidu. We had a kila up and going. Umitzarfa chavita ramya. And in the morning he knocked it down on the ground. So what do you see from here? Anytime you could take something apart, you could build it. It's also for you to break something to be soiser. You might not be chayav. Soiser is not the. But you can't just go ahead. Rav Huna wouldn't take something apart on Shabbos unless it's 100% mutter. So that's why l'chayra he's talking about Rami Bar Yecheskel's bed. He closed this on Shabbos, but then he took it apart completely, threw it down on the ground because you're allowed to close it. It's not an oil, so then you can take it apart. Omer Rav Mishum Rabbi Chia Viloin mutar l'ntoisai umutar lefarkai. You're allowed to put up a curtain on Shabbos, yeah? Like in a shul, you want to make a mechitza, You put up a curtain, says Rashi, because oil is only a rooftop, not a wall. Now, by the way, Tosfos points out that there are walls that are usur. A wall that's matter you for something, let's say for a sukkah, for tznius purposes, you want to protect your svarim in your bedroom, whatever it is, you put up a mechitza. That's lahater, that's usur. So it's different than if I just want to separate, divide something or whatever. If it's lahater for halacha heter, that's usur. V'amar Shmuel Mishum Rabbi Chiya, Kilas chasanim mutar lentoisa umutar lefarka. Daf Kuf Lamed Ches Omid Beis. We turned the page by Reb Fischel from Official Catering. We're almost running out of his sponsorship. If anybody else wants to be mentioned every day at the turning of the page, let Yosef know. Please don't have a war like we had last month. Not everybody at the same time. Kilas chasanim mutar lentoisa umutar lefarka. So if you have a kilas chasanim, which is this guy again, this canopy, mutar lentoiso, mutar lefarko, you're allowed to put it up and you're allowed to take it down. Omer Rav Sheish bar Idi, now a bunch of conditions. Lo yamor nela shein begago tefach. So, if we're going to look at the side view over here, at the point, this cannot be more than a tefach. Another condition. Even if you go downwards 3 tfachim, now you make a roof, a pretend roof here. Now this is 3 tfachim. 3 tfachim is lavud. If from here to here it's only a tefach wide, or more than a tefach wide, you're in big trouble. Now you just have a tefach oil. So basically, you could already tell that this is going to be a very, very narrow canopy. Because if 3 tefachim down, it's still less than a tefach, that means it can't just open up suddenly. It continues with that kind of thing. So that's what the Gemara continues and says. If it's within 3 tefachim to the top point, more than a tefach, asur, that's already oil. Now, the Gemara goes all the way down to the bottom. This is the center point pole that the top of the canopy is resting on. If from the end of the canopy to the center is more than a tefach, that means this angle has a tefach in it. Now this angle is not considered a vertical. According to this Mandamer, it's considered a horizontal. It says we view it like it's going this way, not this way. So therefore, it cannot have from the bottom point to the center more than a tefach. Now, this is not brought down la halacha because it's a very controversial shaila. Is this a vertical? This is a horizontal? We don't pass on this as a vertical. Okay. Another big problem is that we're talking about a bed that's only 2 tefachim wide. What in the world, who in the world, besides a 1-day-old, could sleep on a bed that's 2 tefachim wide? Here's the width of the entire bed. Says Rashi, now must be talking about a decorative bed, a playhouse, not a real bed. Rashi Neirvan says that it's possible this case. They're talking about a number of canopies. Each canopy is only 2 tefachim wide, but if you put 4 of them together, now you have 8. V'omer Rav Sheshes Bereder Rav Idi Haisoyano Shari, a felt hat, a yeshivish hat. One of these, that's what it is. Sion is a felt hat, and that's what hats are made out of. These black hats, Shari. Now, V'itmar Sion Asur. It says somewhere else that a felt hat is asur to wear. Like Ashia. So the Gemara's Havamin is Hadis be'tefach, Hadilas be'tefach. If the brim is a tefach, remember those hats the yeshiva guys used to wear? Now I have one actually. Now, if you're going to ask me, what is a guy like me with such a fancy yeshiva hat? And I'm going to tell you like this. You're not going to believe this. Guess whose hat this is? I was searching today in my house for a hat. I don't know if you can make it out. I'm going to show you the name. Hold on. You guys see what it says here? Kami. Kami is Mr. Avi Kamiansky. This is Avi, the yeshivish's hat. Believe it or not. He's super duper ultra yeshivish. You guys wouldn't know it from his remarks that he makes, but maybe that's why he gave me his hat. He was done with this. So Akopanim, if this is a tefach, says the Gemara, right over here, this brim is a full tefach wide, then it's aser. You're walking around with a big oil on your head. Says the Gemara, impossible. Elama'ato sharbev biglimo tefach.
I've been looking for my hat. You took my hat?
You gave it to me. It was pouring rain one day. We went to Kiddush on Shabbos, and he said, take it. So I took it. I didn't realize you want it back. I'll give it back to you. This thing's an antique. I'm kidding. I don't know how it ended up by me. This thing is worth a lot of money. First of all, it's a Borzolino, and it might come back into style one day. You never know. You should hold on to it. After Corona's over and we're at a bidud. By the way, Avi, just in case you didn't know, we were smart for holding our kids back home. There's a kid in the class that has Corona. I don't know if you heard about it. I got the email last night. Anyway, so they closed down the class. It's over and done. Anything else we need to discuss? Okay, great. Says the Gemara, yeah, on Shabbos, you wear a talus over your head, and it sticks out like this. Sometimes it does, you know? When you're having a lot of kavana, you don't want people to see you crying, so it sticks out like a tefach. So that's aser. And this is halacha l'maisa. It has to be really tight on your head. That the wind, if the wind comes and the ruach mitzuya, not mitzuya, the whole Mishnah Berurah here, he talks about these hats and he says a knech. He talks about a knech hat. And I was thinking as I'm learning the Mishnah Berurah, maybe that's why the Hasidim wear a shtreimel on Shabbos, because he talks about that if it's a down hat and it's flexible, so it's different. So the Bieber hits that a lot of Hasidim wear, they're very problematic on Shabbos in terms of that Mishnah Berurah being an oil. And maybe that's why the Hasidim, I'm just giving you nupshat, why they wear this, the fluffy shtreimel on Shabbos. It's interesting that, I don't know where you got it from, the Pirush Chai shows a picture of a guy wearing the hat with a strap going around. And I thought it's a perfect time to explain to anybody that never had a hat, why on the hats they have this little chupchik right over here. And I'll explain it to you. Avi, I hope you're moichel. I'm taking apart your hat now. You'll never be using it. You see this guy right over here? It has a string. And this string actually is meant to go. That's why, how come suits have a little hole over here? And the reason is very simple. You put this guy, you take this guy, you put it into here, and when you ride your horse and the hat falls off, it gets stuck. You see what's going on here? So I could throw it back like this, and oh, that didn't work out well. Avi, I owe you a new chupchik thing. It fell, it broke. Okay, now I have stuck. I should have known that heavy 4-pound hat is gonna snap that string. It was just for decorative purpose. Chab now. Okay, anyway, fine. But no, there's a concept of mahadik. He goes like this. It should be mamish mahadik. But whatever. That's why they had this thing. If you look at a black hat, you'll see what I'm talking about. Sholach lei. No, so seriously, it says in halacha, you're not allowed to walk out into Rosh Hashanah. People walk, they take their hats with them wherever they go, but it's a little bit of a problem because what if it falls off? You're allowed to pick it up. What if the wind comes? But they're saying that basically it should be really tight on your head. Make sure that's one of these things that doesn't fall off. Says the Gemara, Nafkamina, if you wear a yarmulke underneath, you don't wear a whole thing. Emelon easy, hanach milim mal yasa. The word easy usually means my beloved, my friend. Although we had once that he said easy, the dayan told him easy, Emelon milsa echa havia uvda, something like that. Like, so we said over there, it's a little problematic to say that a dayan called one of the balidin my beloved, because you shouldn't be talking like that to somebody that comes to you l'din Torah. Fine, lo mishana. Tell me, I need to hear 2 tarti b'Shabbos v'chada b'Torah. Made to order. Rabbi, I need to hear 2 divrei Torahs in Hilchos Shabbos and 1 Agadata. Oh, So here comes, it's coming up, a nice piece of agadata. Sholach lei hadatanya goid b'chisana. The goid, the portable refrigerator that has straps. Mutter l'ntois b'Shabbos, you're allowed to lechatchila put it up on Shabbos. That will be a problem with what Abaye said on Nomad Aleph, that you're not allowed to. So therefore, pshat is that Rashi says that it wasn't mesukon. On Nomad Aleph, it wasn't permanent. The sticks there weren't permanent, something like that. Omer Rav lo yishanu elo b'shnei bnei adam. On that comes Rav and says, if there's two people for some reason don't make it taut, it's not tight. Aval b'adam echad asur. If you're going to make it taut, one person usually messes up and he does it a little tighter than necessary because he doesn't have somebody helping him. Therefore, it's asur. Omer Abaye v'kilo afilu asur b'nei adam asur. If you're going to put up a kilo and there's 10 people there, why? Because once you have 10 people, then one person is going to mess up. Like, on Simchas Torah, we grab the talis and one guy pulls it this way, that way. By the way, talis on Simchas Torah we said is not a problem because people are holding it. That's not considered oil. Iduch mai. And what's the other halacha Rav said? The Tanya. Kira. If you have a stove made out of metal, it has 4 legs. One of the legs falls off, so it's still a stove. If it's still a stove, it's muktzah. But muktzah, you let him move muktzah l'tzorich mekaymai, l'tzorich gufay. Rav Omar afilu chanami also. Rav says if one of the 4 legs is missing, it's also gzeira shemiyitka. We're not talking about muktzah, says Rav. We have another problem, makib b'patish. He'll forget about it and put it back into its place. So just real quickly, based on this Gemara, if a person's glasses, and it happens a lot, the handle of the glasses falls off on Shabbos. Says Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, it becomes muktzah. Shemo yitka. Based on this, you might put it back in its place. Says Reb Eliashiv that the halacha over here is, what if the leg, the 4th leg disappeared or breaks into smithereens? So there's no problem of Shemo yitka. You're not going to put it back because you have nothing to put back. So you're allowed to move that stove. So too with a pair of glasses, says if the screw gets lost, then you don't have Shemi Yitka. To put it back without a screw is not a problem. With the screws, fine. Torah, what's the Dvar Torah? What's the Agadata? Dom Rav, I see the Torah shetishdakach mi Yisrael. Rabbi Isai, we're in the beginning of the 9 days. Here it is. There's going to be a churban, and we're going to forget the Torah. Rachman al-Islam. Shenemar, v'hivlo Hashem es makoischo. The makois, the blows that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to give you are going to be extraordinary. They're going to be amazingly good makois, unfortunately. What does that mean? What does it mean? I'll keep on giving. Lahafli. Hafle v'fela. You know, it's like it's a great term in Hebrew. Hafle v'fela, or in Yeshivish, I don't know which one. Exceptionally extraordinary. It's a great lashon. This is from I went to Panovich. I don't know how to chat. Exceptionally extraordinary, says that. Now, if you look, you have to look at the side of the Gemara to understand what the Gemara is talking about. So on the side, he brings the pasuk, and it says at the end of the pasuk, "V'av the chachmas chachamav, the chachma of the chachamim is going to be lost. Ubinas nevaina of the stater, and the bina, the wisdom, is going to be hidden. Without that, we don't know what's going on here. Hafle exceptionally extraordinary zetzin you're going to get that the chachamim are going to lose the Torah. From this pasuk, it's mashma that it's Torah. From the end of the pasuk, Torah Rabbana. When Klal Yisrael, when the Yidden went to Keren B'Yavna, they had to relocate the Sanhedrin. Keren B'Yavna, everybody sat in rows like a vineyard. Amru, I see the Torah shetishdakach miYisrael. Klal Yisrael is going to forget the Torah. Shenemar hine yomim boim nu Hashem Elokim v'shlachti ra ba'aretz. This also reminds me of the Churban. We're sitting at home, nobody to help me sing beautiful songs here. I don't know, 9 days, not 9 days, but l'maisa, if we were in the Beis Medrash today, there'd be beautiful nigunim. Loirav la lechem. You're not going to be starving for bread. You're not going to be thirsty for water. Ki'im, you're going to be, what's the hunger? Kim l'shmaya as divri Hashem. You're going to be hungry to hear Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's words. Uchsiv v'no miyam v'ad yom u'mitzafon v'ad mizrach. You're going to move all the way. You're gonna plunder around to look for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's words. You're not gonna find them. Says the Gemara, what's Dvar Hashem zu halacha? Dvar Hashem zu haketz. You're not gonna know when Mashiach comes. Dvar Hashem zu nevuah. You're not gonna have nevuah. Umay yishaytetu levakis Dvar Hashem. And what does it mean? You're gonna walk around like a drunk. So we're trying to prove that Klal Yisrael is going to forget the Torah. A woman is going to grab a loaf of bread, and she's going to walk in the base medrash, and she's going to say, Rabbi Yisai, lay down tmeihim in Torah. So we're talking about, where's that picture? Here we go. Pretend that this glass, the see-through glass, is earthenware, and you have a mouse, you have a dead sheretz hanging in the ear of the kli cheres. So she has, so that kli cheres becomes tamei even though the sheretz never touched the kli. That's the halach of cheres. Aviroi metame metoichoi. Now she had a piece of bread that was in the kli, touching the kli. What halacha is that bread? So first we have to know what the kli is, and whatever the kli is, it's one step lower than the kli. And nobody knows how to answer her. Says the Gemara in Tahirim Tmei Behediksiv. It's a pasuk in the Torah that they can't forget, a real pasuk. It says in the pasuk, so anything in there, the bread is tamei. So it's going to be a rishon. Why? Because the mouse is avatuma. Sorry, it's going to be a sheni. The kli becomes a rishon, and the bread is going to become a sheni. Elo leidam rishonahi vim shniyahi ve'meven. They're not going to know whether it's a rishon or a sheni. They're going to know it's tamei. They're not going to know which one it is. Hanami masnisani k'disnan asher shenim tzebatanur hapash b'toichei shniya. So we have a mishnah that if you have a dead rat, let's say one of the shratzim that's in the ear space of the tanur, the bread inside the tanur becomes a sheni. Shatanur tchila, because the walls of the tanur become a rishon. Avatuma makes the tanur one step less a rishon. That one step less rishon, the tanur itself makes everything touching it a sheni. Says the Gemara. So why didn't they know this mishnah? At the end of the day, let's pretend that the entire inside of the oven becomes tamei. If the entire inside, if all the ear becomes like the sheretz, so then it comes out that the bread touched the sheretz. So the bread should be a rishon, not a sheni. So balpeh. If you have a vessel within the oven, it doesn't become tamei from the ear space, from the sheretz. But if you say that the sheretz fills up all the ear of the tanur and everything becomes like a sheretz, so then what difference does it make if it's a vessel or a loaf of bread? A vessel should also become tamei. The vessel is touching the sheretz. Elamai, the whole ear is not like the sheretz. It's something else. So that you should have known that from this brisa. The brisa tells me, I would think that a kli within the oven is tamei. So that's what they're going to forget. So the woman is going to come into base medrash. She's going to ask a shayla, and they're not going to know what to answer. They're not going to know if the bread is a rishon or a sheni. Do we consider the inside like the sheretz itself, or one step removed from the sheretz? Let's just finish this. Klal Yisrael is never going to forget the Torah. It's never going to be forgotten. But we just brought a pasuk. They're going to drazach around. They're going to go into base medrash, whatever. They're not going to know. Says Gemara, halacha brura u'mishnah brura. I guess this is where the Chavetz Chaim got it from. A clear cut halacha with no machlokes. That will never happen. Everything, as we know, Klal Yisrael full of machlokes. Every halacha has a machlokes. U'mishnah brura b'makom echad is not going to happen. That, but we're not going to forget Torah. Chas v'shalom. Have a wonderful day. You still can't unmute yourself? Shem Alois, Adonai shmo bekoili tienos davar kashuvois lekoil tachanunoi im Adonai tishmor yo Adonai mi amoid kimcho haslicho leman tivorei kivisi Adonai kivso nafshi velidvarai yichalti nafshi ladonai mishomrim laboiker shomrim laboiker Yachei Yisrael Adonai kim Adonai chesed v'arbei moifedus Behu yivdes Yisrael mikol avonei sov. Achenu kol Yisrael anasunu mitzvah v'shivu yochim dem ben bayom u'ben bayabosh ha'amokim rachem alei v'tzim mitzvah levochem ha'afei lo mishu legulo hashto bagolov zman koriv v'neimar omein. Absolutely.
And Ben Siegfried in Miami, and Aaron was on YouTube today.
Aaron Stefansky?
Yeah, your son, Aaron.
I can't believe it, really. Wow. Amazing. One day we were talking about cats. He got a cat and he said something, oh, today in the sugi you're learning about cats. I'm like, I was wondering how you knew that. So you're saying he's on? So Adarabba, he could do a siyum in Miami. It'll be beautiful with the palm trees and the water and the whole matzah.
How are you going to have 70 people, 2 minutes? That's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we're not going to have everybody. That's right. We're going to have to do a lottery.
I think you should have flashes of everybody.
You know what we could do? If we're smart about this, we could have people send in what they want to say, and then we can make it like a video of it with their names and everything. Maybe that will work. And then it also could be limited. We could control the time because sometimes we had a siyum and brachas, and we gave the guy the microphone, and the guy went on and on. It was one of the most amazing drushes ever. And on. It was amazing. I seriously liked the drusha.
I actually skipped 3 pages by accident.
What happened? Oh, let me turn off the YouTube. Hold on.
Eli,
Yes.
as the original importer of Porcellino hats into England,
Yeah.
I can tell you that the string of the Porcellino hat, like all felt hats, is there so that you take it off in the wind and you tie it to your buttonhole.
No, that's what I said.
And if the
That-
wind flies up, hangs onto your...
So did you not just see what happened in the demonstration?
That's what I said. Daddy Cornwall, what happened? You fell asleep at the demonstration?
No, like the video. It was a problem. It's happened to me on the boat from England to Belgium. London, I relied on the string, and then played my Porcellino, ended up in the North Sea.
1 minute, you used to wear a hat. You had a black hat. You still do.
I once had 400.
Ah, they were for sale though.
Yeah, those were the same.
I got